For You podcast. I'm your host here, Stephen Fahey, and I'll be talking to you mainly around alignment of mental health and business strategy. I was supposed to go pre-live and show you a recorded show that I've done, but I didn't have the bandwidth from my internet to do what I wanted to do. But never mind, I prefer to be live, and I'm here with you. Apologies for my camera views as always. I've got my TikTok audience, and I've got obviously YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Telegram. I know all the names now. Yeah, sorry for the delay. There is a delay on my other platforms. Apologies for that. But anyway, hope you're doing well. Happy New Year again. 5 days into 2024. What are you going to do to shape your life, your new story, your new you? I'm here with you. I think that's a good rhyme. Anyway, today's show is really trying to center around. I talk about mental health every single day, and in my pre-recorded show, I was trying to identify. There's a big problem in the world at the moment with supply chain management, where we've got a risk of our services and products and services being delayed in the trade in the sea because of attacks from other groups. I can't really say here on TikTok Live or other platforms because that might get removed. But we're living in difficult times, and one of the key words I say to anybody, especially here on LinkedIn as well, geopolitical risk is going to be one of the key words we're going to have to relearn and realign into our own business development, as well as cross back and then check, okay, and our own mental well-being. What does that mean? It sounds confusing, and it probably is really for a lot of you, especially on TikTok, who've never really heard of the term geopolitical risk. In business, and I've said this before, medium and large size companies will look at where they operate in different markets. And because we've got two wars in Europe, sadly, the factor is that we have to have new leadership skills that will help us align our business, whether we want to withdraw from the market. Are we gonna, if you're at McDonald's, I think withdrew some of their chains from Russia, but because it's ongoing and there's lots of different things happening across the world, it is important for CEOs and founders, not so much people like me, just startups really, that assess what is the worth of operating that market, and also if you're in that market, how do you lead? Because business development, which is your sales, your marketing, how you create sales, is so important. But 2024 is going to be a very interesting year because we don't yet know if there is going to be recession, and you can't, when you're operating in business, you can't just wait for something to happen. Okay, you have to function as a company. You've got to watch your profit and loss, your bottom line, your marketing strategy has got to be adjusted. Many companies have already designed their new campaigns for this year, but it changes. And this is what you change your business strategy. So your business strategy is everything. It's all the components of your marketing. I'm mainly speaking to my TikTok audience, but some of you other platforms might get a bit of a flavor of starting your own company this year, which is going to be a lot more difficult if we go into recession. And I'm not just talking about the UK, it's the US, it's a global environment. We've got supply chain management issues again with the threats that are coming across. Even though the US Army and the UK Royal Navy have intercepted some of those attacks, it still will affect business, and even whatever country you're in. Sometimes we have an issue here in the UK about oil, trying to get sunflower oil into the UK because of what's happening in Ukraine. Ukraine are one of the biggest producers of sunflower oil, I believe, and you're going to see this a lot more. So, and all that kind of stuff. And this is really what I was trying to bring out in today's show is that all that does affects your own development as a leader in yourself, in your own emotions, whether you're a founder of a company or you're just starting up. So how do you bring it all together? How do you make the alignment? Well, mental health is mental health, right? It stands up here, and we have stress and anxiety. So we come home from work, for instance, and we're really stressed because we've had a hard day. We've been in a really big business meeting, and for some reason, okay, where we just don't want to do it anymore. Okay, we've burnt out. Okay, how do we get ourselves back in that ring after rest? That's important, and realign the business strategy so it works well with our own mental well-being. It's a difficult one, especially if you've got limited resources. And I think, the old-fashioned way of innovation does come into play, but you have to be comfortable with what you're doing. And I think sometimes you literally do have to take yourself out of the office, go for a walk, clear your head, and think to yourself, you know what, I really wanted a lot of goals this year with my business in 2024, but sadly, because of what's going on, I've got to defuse or cut down or just reduce my operations, my business operations. What does that mean? It means that you can't operate as in many markets or many product offerings as you wanted to, but you can still innovate across your company if you've got the budget to, and also cut down your staff costs, which a lot of companies are doing. They did that towards the end of last year. And these are all important business lessons that we all need to learn. And, time will tell whether we're going to a recession or not, but it doesn't really matter if it's 2030 or 40. Okay, a risk of climate change, you have wars, all these things come into the domain of geopolitical risk. I might launch a new course soon on TikTok for you guys to learn more about geopolitical risk, and I might produce another course here available for people on LinkedIn as well. Okay, it's in the development, I'm thinking about it, but I'm still studying it myself to work out what's the best curriculum, because there's so many different factors we need to consider when we're operating in multiple different markets. And because of the risk of, I'll say the word, terrorism, okay, and other things like climate change, geopolitical knowledge, learning, curriculum, however you want to define it, is so important, because you're not assessing where you are in one place. It's multiple different regions, multiple different products, and it's quite complicated. So we need to take rest. We need to sit down. We need to work out. First, have a health check. All right. Many of you be joining a new gym this year, literally this week, bouncing around, trying to get fit. New year, new career, new you, new business, or new business development. But we need to slow down. Okay. We've got to slow down. And that's one of the things I've been trying to teach last year across my social media platforms. We need to slow down a lot more. So, just keeping it real with you here about business development and the assessment of alignment of mental well-being and geopolitical risk, which is quite difficult. I'm not going to talk for much longer. I felt like I've covered the subject in brief, at least. And for some of you, the term geopolitical risk might mean, oh, what's he talking about? Never heard of it before. I don't think, as far as I know, I've got to do some additional research on this, that there isn't many universities teaching this on their current business MBA degrees and their undergraduate degrees, so their normal business degrees, as far as I know, okay? And it is important because we're living in that moment. Different business leaders across the world, CEOs of Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, TikTok, are having to assess, and other companies as well, how to operate in these markets, especially if it's a food company where they're trying to get a delivery from different parts of the world, and their stock is somebody's open up the post-pandemic levels. We see a lot of that, and the capacity. People wanted to order, they couldn't. We couldn't get out the ships fast enough. Now the ships are out, but they're getting stopped because of terrorism. That does fall into geopolitical risk. We as business leaders need to understand, number one, how to process it. Number two, what to do about it. And number three, how to safeguard our businesses. Because at the end of the day, it will lose you trade and it will lose you money. And that falls back onto you. So a lot going, and I don't presume to give you all the answers, but a few principles we need to think about in today's business development, especially in literally the first week of 2024. So anyway, I am going to keep this episode short today because I am pushed for time and I want to rest my voice. My mental fitness needs to be good. That includes my physical fitness. So I want to say thank you for joining me across my platforms. Join me daily here at 1 p.m. UK time on the News for You podcast. TikTokers, I always go live with you first because you're my biggest audience. My other platforms, I'm just a joy to spread news about different topics that are happening across the world in terms of business, mental health, stuff like social media marketing. Okay, guys, I'm your host, Stephen Farhate, here with you on News for You, a new podcast every day here, 1 o'clock. And I just want to thank you for other platforms, Twitch, LinkedIn, Instagram, Telegram. I'm off. Have a great day. Have a great afternoon.